Bring it on.
They have the ability to fix the system. What they don't have the ability to do is to expect me to stand by with a broken system in perpetuity. And I would advise that if, in fact, they want to take a different approach, rather than devote a lot of time trying to constrain my lawful actions as the chief executive of the U.S. government in charge of enforcing our immigration laws, that they spend some time passing a bill.
Well, the roundtable tonight, Robert Costa, national political reporter for the Washington Post, and Michelle Bernard, CEO of the Bernard Center for Women, and Republican U.S. Congressman Jack Kingston of Georgia. I'm going to start with you, Robert, and give me the straight skinny on this before we get into points of view. The president has pretty much said he's going to do this. Is that the thinking within the next week or so? He's going to pull the plug and do it.
He may wait until December. It's a question of timing now, not if he's going to do it. That's what we're hearing from Republicans on Capitol Hill and from Democrats in the White House. This is going to cause, as Hal Rogers said, an explosion among Republicans. They wanted to try to fund the government into late next year to the end of the fiscal year. Now they're not so sure if that's going to be possible. Can Republicans rally around government funding if this is lingering out there on immigration?
So what's it bring? A shutdown in the short run and cut off of funding for immigration?
My prediction from what I'm hearing from today on Capitol Hill is it's going to lead to short-term spending bills. The leadership, McConnell, Boehner, they don't want to shut down the government, but at the same time, they need to show the right that they're being aggressive in immigration. So to do that, they'll fund the government perhaps into early next year, try to fight the battle then.
Congressman, what do you see coming? Assuming the president acts.
I think what we will do when on December 11th, when the continuing resolution runs out, we will probably do short-term for those portions of the law that affect immigration, homeland security, judiciary, and everything. But the rest of it, we will do a long-term omnibus on. But Republicans are ready to fight because probably every Republican candidate, except for a few, everyone made a promise, no amnesty. This is an amnesty bill, and it is an amnesty bill that would be done without the legislative branch. And I think so the process is as offensive as the whole intent.
So there you have it, Michelle. The process and the policy are both anathema to the right and sometimes to the center right.
Well, you know, and sometimes you have to sort of question the anger and all of the consternation that we're seeing by people on the right over the president, over the possibility that the president is actually going to do his job. He has every single right to act by executive action. He has been saying to members of Congress, both on the right and the left, for the last year, I'm going to give you a year to do something, and if you don't do it, I'm going to act. There are many Americans who are, you know, who showed us a few weeks ago that it was sort of a pox on both houses of Congress, with Republicans ultimately ending up as the winners.
Explain to me how the president, with his executive authority, can issue a green card to millions of people.
Well, he's not going to issue a green card to millions of people, but the president has the ability to issue an executive order that deals with what he calls quote unquote deportation relief. But my understanding is that this executive order.
I think there's more than that, Michelle.
Well, no, I was going to say my understanding is that there is not just there's more than deportation relief. Allegedly there will be something in executive action that deals with borders, that deals with pay raises for the people that are dealing with all of these issues on the borders, and deals with the dreamers.
What have you heard, Congressman? Have you heard Robert? I understand it's going to basically say people can work here. They're allowed to work here.
It gives them legal status, and I think you know, in terms of beefing up the border, beefing up pay, nobody's going to argue about that. I think there could even be wiggle room on the DREAM Act. But it's the parents of these children who were brought in when they were small that he wants to give legal status to, and that's where the problem is, because we don't even know what that number is. You know, you hear 4 million, you hear 4.5. I heard today 6 million. 6 million is the size of metropolitan Atlanta. We don't need to do that by executive fiat. We need to pass it through the legislative branch, have a lot of people look at it, have oversight, have hearings, and have compromise. And that's what the.
So how hot will the Republicans get, you guys?
Very hot.
Will they go to shutdown?
There are going to be some voices who push for a shutdown. I spoke to
permanent shutdown all the way till he says uncle. I mean, one of these real Indian wrestles where you go, you're going to give up, or
there's going to be a wing of the party that wants that. But is the leadership going to support that? I don't think so. And when you speak to their supporters, they want to something like tax reform, trade agreements in the new year, but they know that this could consume the new Republican Congress. So this is the biggest test yet for Boehner and McConnell. How do they handle their new power? Okay. Can they move forward?
Let's talk the way it normally works, Congressman. You're a regular conservative. What happens when Ted Cruz walks across the aisle, has one of those late-night dinners with some of the Red Hots, and says, it's time?
That's my question.
What's going to be like.
Well, I think as Bob's saying, there is that temptation of some to say, just shut it down. But the reality is the president, I think, is at fault here. This is something that requires leadership. And leadership at this point, people aren't angry. Bring McConnell, bring Boehner, bring some of the freshmen to the White House, have some steak dinners, have some fellowship, and say, look, guys, we got to get this done, and start picking off some of the Republicans. For example, Ileana Ross-Layton, Mario Diaz-Balart. You know, they're a little more open on this than some of the Ted Cruz.
Republicans are banking on a backlash, too. I mean, that's what I just kept hearing today at the Capitol. They're banking that the president's approval ratings will sink, that there will be a backlash, even though he will get support from a lot of people for giving deportation relief, that there's going to be a consequence for Democrats.
Well, anyway, the public does say, the latest Gallup poll after the election, did everybody see this Gallup poll? Overwhelmingly, the public wants the Republican Congress to take the lead, not the president, on policymaking. These are the facts. This election mattered. I keep telling people, vote. It matters. Anyway, conservative columnist Charles Krauthammer is taking up the nuclear option, if you will. Let's watch him talk.
Look, I believe it is an impeachable offense. The whole American system is designed that there has to be a collaboration between the Congress and the president. Congress has to pass it. He has to sign it. That's the way the damn thing works.
Damn. I haven't heard him say that one yet. And that's the way the damn thing works, Charles Krauthammer. He is not a wingnut. He is a hawk. Certainly a hawk. But on this issue, he is being very hawkish unusually. What do you make of it, Congressman?
Well, you know, I think
he's saying it's impeachment stuff.
The president is spoiling for this fight. This fight gives him relevancy. When President Clinton lost the House and the Senate, the best thing that happened to him politically was the government shutdown, because he became the margin in between the extreme Republicans and the constituency, and that's how he got to be relevant again. The president has taken a page off the Clinton book and saying, come up with the biggest fight you can. Just go ahead and start it, and that way you're relevant. And I think that's what this is all about.
Let me try another historic reference by you, then you jump in here. Yeah. Roosevelt's court packing. Mm-hmm. You know, he won big in 30. You know, he won big in 38. He came back and said, "Okay, I'm going to get." You know, or I'm sure it was one big in 36 and said in 37. I think I enlarged the court, so I have enough liberals on that court. Didn't work.
No, it didn't. And can you imagine on that, because it was the Democrats, I think, the Southern Democrats that helped defeat that. But think about right now, I think there are 50 ambassadorships that have been waiting for Senate approval. And most of these ambassadorships are plum political patronage type jobs. They're not really in strategic places. How's the president going to come back a month
from now? You mean like Barbados?
Yes. Well, I think that
Don't you wish that your party was in power right now, Congressman?
You know,
it would be very nice.
I'm looking for work. but I just say, I think the president is squandering so much potential goodwill where he should go ahead and get some of his nominees through, get some things in order. Try with the DREAM Act only. I think he could possibly get some of that.
Senator Jeff, your turn.
Well, I wish that everyone that the president had to deal with on the right was as reasonable as you are. But there is another vantage point to this, and I hate to put everything in terms of race, but this is one of those issues where I see it. I don't think the president is itching for a fight. I think from my perspective and from the perspective of a lot of African Americans, what we see is that the president, since the day he was elected, it always feels and looks as if there are members of the Republican Party who are saying, we are going to put you in your place. You are going to kowtow to us. You're going to do what you want. You're going to do what we want. And on this issue, there is no reason for the president not to back down. He's been saying for the last year, do anything.
Let me ask you, who's going to call the shots on the Republican side? Will it be the Ted Cruz people, the Geronimo guys who say, let's go get him? Or is it going to be Mitch McConnell-type people and Boehner?
I think McConnell is going to ultimately cause the shots. There's going to be a lot of noise, but McConnell has the gavel now. He's running the chamber.
And so when they say, let's go, and the crowds begin, we don't know what it's going to be like. First of all, you never know the future. It could be the president does this and something else happens, Ebola or something else, and it knocks it out of the news. My hunch is it's a grassroots issue. There's two things. You're the expert. Two things that drove the Tea Party. One is they sensed the government's just peeing away the money. There's no control on money spending, and they just sense it going to the unions, the poor people, foreign aid, whatever. It's just wasting their money. The other is nobody's looking out for who this country is anymore. There's not even a sense of saying who we are anymore. And that's one of the essential responsibilities of any government, to say what the border is, who gets to come in or not. Not to discriminate among people, but how do you set the controls?
But are you
and we don't have any sense that we're doing that right now.
But are you actually taking care of the people if you shut the government down?